Welcome back to Haunted by Tapes with the Frog Brothers Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to Haunted by Tapes. I'm Alec, and this is Justin.
And we are talking about the film Halloween.
Which notebook did I have the notes for this in? Not this one.
Not this one, not that one.
I ran out of pages in my one, so I had to pick up in another one.
Now he's got to find him.
And here it is. Halloween, 1978. By John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, written. Directed by John Carpenter.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
A horror masterpiece.
Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis. Pretty terrific there.
Mm-hmm. Introducing Jamie Lee Curtis, by the way.
Yeah. It's interesting. Obviously, she's the son.
She's the daughter of,
Janet Leigh.
yes, who you may know from Psycho. Famously murdered in the shower.
I would drink her shower water.
Well, I don't know if you can. Is she still alive?
Oh, I don't know.
That's a good question.
I would drink that shower's water is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. That
Up
makes
until
more
when
sense.
she dies, anyway. I don't want to drink the blood.
Yeah.
I'm not like a vampire.
Yeah.
Unless it's period blood, then I'm a vampire.
And
I
that's
don't
just
give a
your Red
shit.
Wings. You're a hockey player
Yeah.
then.
I mean, there's nothing that, like I tell people, your clit's not bleeding. I can still,
Yeah.
get up on that thing. Welcome to Haunted by Tapes. If you weren't expecting us to talk about the clit a minute and 42 seconds in, then you weren't expecting the right podcast.
Yes. Because we are easily distracted. And we
Do you think
talk
Michael Myers knows what a clit is? All right, I brought it back.
Yeah, he does. No,
He can drive a car, but that doesn't mean he knows what a clit is.
Well, I don't know. So this movie opens up with a little bit of clit loving, basically. It's implied anyhow. It's very POV, very ahead of its time for that point of view, like perviness.
Yes. I want to talk about before anything even happens in this movie. The score is what starts out. This is one of the most iconic fucking music scores of all time, especially in horror. If you go to horror, the only thing I think you could argue is more iconic, maybe, is The Exorcist.
Overall score.
But
Yeah.
like this one's the most iconic, especially with our generation. Like, it's the horror theme. Like, it's used in stuff just to get a spooky vibe across and shit like that, or parodied the most and shit like that. You know what I mean? Maybe not my personal favorite, but it would be like most respected and recognized for what it is. And I love John Carpenter's scores too, so it's cool as shit that he does this. And there's really two pieces in this music that repeat often. This movie, which the main theme is one of them. It's the the dun 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 dun.
Yeah, and it has that fucking grooving bass line, kind of synth bass behind it. Yeah. Just like fucking steady notes, but it still just sets that tone. It's
Fucking
unsettling.
cool as shit. Everybody loves it. It's iconic. It's been recreated. Listen, I started watching the Paul Rudd Halloween Curse of Michael Myers one tonight, and that one has that piano part is played on a guitar, and I don't like it.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
and I'm like, nah.
Yeah, there's certain things you can't just fucking replace a synth with. I mean, you might think that that's cool to change it up, but sometimes you just gotta leave shit be.
Yeah.
And vintage synths have some pretty fucking dope-ass sounds, so hard to argue that.
So, but the credits here with the pumpkin,
Yes,
also
the decaying
fucking
pumpkin,
iconic.
Yes,
I love it.
it's good.
It's great.
It just sets the whole fucking tone.
And this isn't the first slasher movie. We'll say that, but it is the first like mainstream one that broke through into real audiences and revolutionized kind of what people were doing in horror. Obviously, there's Black Christmas. There's some other ones that are earlier that people will mention too, but Black Christmas is the one I kind of think is what I think of as the first slasher kind of.
And
I
this
guess you'd say.
released in 78,
Yes.
and then Friday the 13th, the original released
81
or 80.
I think 80.
Okay, so shortly after. So this really set the pace for
Yeah.
this. And this feels drastically different than the first Friday the 13th. Mm-hmm. I mean, this
Absolutely.
this has aged so much better. The first Friday the 13th feels really old when you rewatch this,
This one holds up better than that one for sure.
Yeah, it just everything about it holds up well still. Yeah.
So yeah, we're in Haddonfield, Illinois.
1963.
Yes, 1963. Yeah, that's what I mentioned first. It's the point of view shots of some of these slashers, specifically this one, because they're just great. The original title for this movie was The Babysitter Murders when they were writing it.
And that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Obviously, we got to talk about how iconic it is that the mask is a Captain Kirk mask.
Well, yeah, that's amazing that it was
Repainted and
just
spray-painted
a
and
generic mask
adjusted.
that was painted. They bought it at the store and they were able to paint over it and just use that, and it became its own thing. And it's very disturbing for what it is, right? If you didn't know that, you'd be like, "Oh, that makes sense." So if you're just learning that, look at it, pay attention to it. But it looks so creepy.
Grab
and
the
iconic.
tape off of there.
Blockbuster presents.
Yeah, I was about to say we should put that up there.
If you're tuning into the audio only feed, check out the YouTube to see the video.
Yeah. I'm going to adjust these. I think this will sit better because it's higher up. Pretty, isn't it? It's the Blockbuster Presents John Carpenter's Halloween VHS. I think this was something that they sold, not how they rented it. But I'm not 100% on the details on that.
Yeah, it was when they had stuff for sale, like specials for that.
And they did like Night of the Living Dead is another one you can find with a Blockbuster logo like that. That's a horror one. Mm-hmm. But Halloween's pretty common, so I grabbed a copy of that. We'll get right into this though. Basically, yeah, he's being babysat by his sister.
His older sister, yeah, and you see him basically grab the knife from the kitchen drawer.
Well, her boyfriend comes over and they go upstairs and fuck.
And then you see the boyfriend leave the house after he's grabbed the knife. He grabs that clown mask, and then you get to this real creepy POV, like the lens through the eyes of the mask, which is really just fucking unsettling, especially as you see that this is a child to begin with.
Yes.
And then they make it a point that his sister is still sitting topless, brushing her hair after sex, which, whatever. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah.
Just whatever, okay.
And then he stabs her to death.
Yeah.
So, and then he walks outside, and his parents, or what you assume are his parents, are standing on the front porch like they've just returned.
Yeah. And then they take the mask off and you show it. You see his face, and he's just kind of like blank,
Expressionless, yeah.
Yep. Then we switch over to Smiths Grove, Illinois, in October 30th, 1978.
And that's where we meet Dr. Loomis.
Obviously, his performance in this movie and just in general as an actor and in the future of the Halloween movies has always been pretty entertaining. So
Yeah, he's great in this first one, right? I mean, you're really just getting to know the character, but
yeah, he's one of the most iconic pieces of the Halloween movies and the franchises. I mean, obviously Michael Myers, Laurie Strode, Dr. Loomis. That's your big three for this. Maybe later on you could argue something like Tommy Doyle, but yeah, there's
well, we find out that he hasn't spoken right in 15 years. Right?
Yeah, he's talking to the nurse and they're driving, and you're like trying to figure out exactly what's happening. They're giving you the exposition.
And the nurse makes it a point to say, "Shouldn't you refer to it as him?" And he's basically no, this motherfucker is crazy. And they're basically explaining how that they've had to subdue him with Thorazine before.
Yeah,
which I took note of because that's what
Peter Venkman carries around because he's a creepy fucker.
Yeah, because Peter Venkman and Dr. Loomis apparently shop at the same pharmacy. And they're in this station wagon, this government issue station wagon, or for the company they work for, and then they pull up to
the other hospital.
Yep.
Basically, and there's patients wandering around in the rain.
Yeah.
And it's just a freaky look,
Like a
freaky looking scene.
Freaky looking free-for-all, too, yeah.
Yeah. You're like, what the fuck is going on? Because you know that you're watching a horror movie, and I'm, from the perspective of never having seen this, which I've obviously seen it a million times, but you're just like, what? What's going on here? Who's dangerous is because you know Michael Myers, but
Yeah, but
what's going on here?
with all these people here, you have no idea. And for
It's
me,
just unsettling the way the car lights shine and you see people stumbling.
moving
You
around, yeah.
can't make out anybody exactly.
I mean, it gives you zombie movie vibes there, but it also gives me vibes of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, like where you see
Yeah.
all these people here, you know they're sick, you don't know what's going on, and it's unsettling because they've already set up this expose about this
Yeah.
murderer here, right?
Loomis is spooked as fuck, and he's like, drive up to the main gate right now.
Yeah.
And then he gets out of the fucking car, and you see the whole Michael jumping onto the roof.
Yep.
And I love that scene. I love the little music that plays there, like the little synth, whatever it
The
is. there.
score
It's
on this is fucking on point, man. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
really sets the tone. Station wagon gets stolen then.
Yes. Yeah, he fucking kills her.
Yeah.
First kill.
First
Of
kill.
the, well,
is,
second kill of the movie. What are we thinking?
Yes.
I'm stoned. You don't have no excuse.
Well, the first kill in the modern
Yes.
Michael Myers is adult Michael
For
Myers.
sure. Yeah, that's what we meant.
Yeah.
And then we're kind of back in Haddonfield.
Yeah, it's basically kind of your next morning, basically, right? And then you see that it's Halloween Day, and then you go to the spook house, and it's
This
the
is where
haunted
they
house.
have the music, the other piece of music that is
Yes.
very iconic. That's later reused in Scream. In that scene, you know what I'm talking about? The rules
Yeah.
explaining and all that scene.
Yes.
I fucking love that so much. It's so good. It works well just being in that movie because they're watching Halloween and it talking
Yes.
about it. But then they end up using that music to score the scene too, kind of, and it's so fucking cool. But it's the stuff that's like bow, bow. It's like the slower sort of, with the piano going back and forth, but it's not like the main theme.
There's some amazing shit in this film, and the way Michael Myers stalks throughout this film, like you feel like it's a bit of a slow pacing at first, but you really get this sense of dread by the way he's stalking, and like that adds so much weight to it that some of the other movies miss, is because you don't have that like stalking phase that kind of really sets the tone of like shit's really fucking unsettling here,
Yeah.
and you don't know why, and like why is this person so patient? Why is he around in the middle of the day and no one notices or sees anything? There's just, it's unsettling
Yeah.
in so many ways.
Let's see here. I got lost on my notes.
Well, and then
Laurie's
Loomis-
walking to school, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And this is what I was saying. Again, the score just makes it, because if you're thinking about, well, when I was watching this, I was trying to consciously think of what this movie would be like without this iconic score. It would not work.
No.
It just wouldn't, because there's way too much of just Laurie doing stuff. But the music, when you add the music to it, it's like, oh, now I'm fearful for her. Like this is unsettling watching her do this, because some fuckery's going on, and the camera angles enough don't do that for you. It's the music, the whole composition, the whole piece together, the whole donut, if you will.
The other thing that works so well in this movie is so much early on in the movie is daylight. You get a lot of daylight in here, and it's still fucking creepy and terrifying.
Yep.
So many horror movies rely on like dark shots or night shots to kind of hide special effects and like tone things down, and this is just naturally unsettling.
David Lynch is good about that. Daytime horror, I love it.
Yes, yeah, it's hard to do artfully, and this is well done.
Yeah, she's talking about dropping off the key off for the real estate agent or whatever.
Yeah, so they go to the spook house, is what they call it. It's the haunted house, and
Someone's inside.
yeah, you
She
see
walks
Michael
up to do
inside.
the
Yep.
key thing, and assumably, yeah, it's Michael, because he's
Yep.
returned home, and he's like, hey, I used to live here. Check out the place. Cool.
Yeah.
I think I'll go stalk this babysitter now.
Yep, and then we see Dr. Loomis is pissed off at the other doctor there,
Yep.
fucking losing his shit about it. And then we get a fucking amazing scene here that really sets the tone. You'll see the station wagons parked outside of the school
Yeah.
classroom that you can see that Laurie's sitting in class, and you just see the station wagon out there.
And she's noticed.
Yeah.
And then the teacher calls on her to answer a question, which she thoughtfully answers and very intelligently before returning her attention outside, and the fucking thing's gone.
And then you see that little bullying scene there between the kids that Laurie's going to babysit later, right?
Yeah.
And you see the other kids fucking with him, and after he runs off, the bully runs right into Michael.
Yeah.
And, like, you expect a kill at that point because you kind of have, like, this preconceived notion, and they don't give you a kill right there, which really works just to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
because you just don't know what this presence is, right? You got to remember too that in the credits they didn't just call him Michael Myers; it was also referred to as the Shape, and so it's this other thing. And when you think about it more in terms of the Shape as giving him a name, it's almost even scarier and creepier, just because you're like, oh, here this kid ran into the Shape, this thing, it doesn't know what it is, and it's just scary.
Yeah.
And then Loomis warns Haddonfield PD about what's going on. And then poor old Phelps' garage. Motherfucker gets killed.
Yeah.
And
Well, I have notes before that.
Oh.
The car stalking when they're walking down the street after school, presumably. And the car's kind of following them or whatever, and then speeds off, and the one girl says, "Speed kills."
Yeah.
Very cheesily. And then, in my opinion, the worst line of the movie here is...
well, that was after the speed kills line is after what I was talking about, when he gets the mask and the coveralls. Because he didn't have them. So after he warns the PD, so we see Loomis find the car, or not the car, but you see him like find the Phelps' garage mechanics dead, and that car's found open, and Dr. Loomis just misses the dead mechanic's body because he's like positioned just off scene, but you see the dead body there, and you see him getting the cover, you see that that's where he's been. So that's pretty wild too. It's like just unsettling. It's the way that scene was shot, so close to the dead body, but not even seeing it, just like, ugh.
Yep.
And so fresh you didn't even smell it. Hadn't even shit itself yet.
Anyway, the worst line in the movie is, "I hate a guy with a car and no sense of humor." Mm-hmm. The fuck does that mean? What the fuck kind of line is that? That's the only one that I question in this movie. That doesn't...
one of those throwaway lines that just feels out of place.
Exactly. Throwaway line. Throw it away. Don't put it in the movie. That's what it means.
Yes.
That's the only one where I'm like, what the fuck? This is a weird thing. You could get whatever point you're trying to get across, do it better.
Yeah.
That's my one criticism of the movie, really.
It's just it's a joke that doesn't land.
And this is where you get the famous Hedges scene, too. Mm-hmm. Shortly after.
Yeah, because then Laurie's with her friend, and she's like, what was that? Her friend goes up there, and he's like, he wants to talk to you. Just fucking with her. Friends do.
Yeah.
But, you think by now people would have seen enough scary movies to not fuck with their friends like that, but...
By 1978?
No, I mean by now, like current times.
Well, now maybe.
Not then. Then they were just
Well,
teaching
no, I
you
think
that.
people still fuck with people, for sure.
Absolutely.
Remember that a couple years ago, where people were dressing as clowns and standing around? Remember that shit?
Oh, yeah, just
People were losing their shit over that. It was hilarious.
That was amazing, yeah.
I was like, I wouldn't do it just because I'd be afraid I would get murdered as the clown.
Yeah, I don't want to get shot just because I'm dressed as a creepy
Just
clown.
because somebody has a phobia and also a gun.
Yeah.
I love Michael and the sheets in the yard, too. You're like, is he fucking doing laundry? What's going on out here?
Yeah.
It's one of those things, though. There's always sheets hanging in movies. It's a scary thing. They're in the Texas Chainsaw remake, then It. They're in this.
Well, in certain movies, it makes sense. There was a point in time where a clothesline was common.
Yeah, I'm not criticizing. I'm just pointing it out.
And it does give very good creepy vibes for shadows and like the ability to wander through them and things like that. So I get the appeal for them, but yeah.
Because it's the wind that blows. It blows this way, and you see someone, it blows back, and then it blows that. Oh, and they're gone now.
Yeah, it's
spooky.
It's very tropey, but it's still effective, right? It just gives you those kind of spook scares. Because if you had a clothesline in your yard at one point in time, you had that happen, you'd be a little freaked out by it.
She gets a phone call where there's just nothing going on, and then she hangs up, and then it calls back, and it's her friend. I don't write her name down, but one of her friends, and she's just like talking to her and shit. Loomis goes to Judith Meyer's grave, and on their way there, they discover, that it is missing. The headstone.
The headstone's missing, yeah.
Fascinating. Well, I guess Michael Myers is here.
Yep, I guess he's found a
concludes
place.
That's where he says, he came home.
Yeah.
The whole famous, pretty sure it's a tagline. It might even be on there. It's not on there, but wouldn't surprise me if it is. Oh, it says here, the night he came home.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Tagline. End credits. They're smoking a joint in the car.
Fuck yeah, they are. And then they roll by the hardware store that her dad works at.
Yeah.
And Lori's all paranoid. You think your dad smelled it? She's like, no, he was fucking worried about who broke into the goddamn hardware store after it was closed.
Right, but I can tell you right now, as a weed smoker, well, maybe not with the reg, I don't know. They're probably smoking some Reggie-ass shit.
Yeah.
But the shit I smoke, if I rolled up like that, the officer would have been like, what the fuck are you smoking in there? God damn, let me have some of that shit.
Yeah. Like, this motherfucker, are you growing in here? It smells like you've got a fucking garden in here.
Or as Machine Gun Kelly would say, I am weed. It's a meme going around right now.
I mean,
Fuck that guy, though. Nobody gives a shit. Let's see. Loomis and the sheriff are talking again. Michael drives right behind Loomis.
yeah, right behind him when he's waiting for the detective. He's like, give me 10 minutes. I'll come back out and talk to
I
him.
love that.
That
It's
is
fucking
so
great.
fucking good. Yeah.
Also, one of the funniest lines to me is Loomis saying, when he's talking to Michael Myers, he says, he has the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. It sounds fucking so identical.
Sounds like Quentin Jaws.
Exactly.
Describing the
Black
shark.
eyes like a doll's eyes. That's
Yeah.
the line in that,
Yeah, I'm sure it was inspired
which
by that.
came out 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guarantee it's inspired by that. They're like, that's terrifying, and people did it, and it's successful, so we're going to fucking...
Yeah.
They're babysitting, like, across the street from each other. It's
Yeah.
kind of like this is too hard to follow at night with these houses.
Yeah, they're
Like,
not.
what house that anybody's ever at. It's still, to this day, I don't know what the fuck is really happening with it.
It's just one of those things you just got to be paying close attention. But yeah, Lori is babysitting Tommy, and
Yeah.
her friend is babysitting the girl, right?
Yeah.
And they're all trying to go out and party and do their thing, and so yeah.
Yeah. And they're watching Howard Hawks' The Thing from Another Place
Yes.
on TV. Love that.
Yes, and that's, obviously John Carpenter did the remake of The Thing, so the fact that he threw that in there as well is just another great nod. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Had a note of that myself.
That's it.
It's Halloween. You're watching some scary movies, so that's amazing.
Michael kills the girl in a car, strangling.
Mm-hmm.
Linda calls and gets murdered on the phone. Is that Linda? I think it's Linda. It's hard to follow her friends' names too, man. I don't know. Some of these horror movies, you know everybody's gonna die, so I just don't give a fuck about their names.
I mean, I have Lori's name and Tommy's name written down in
For sure.
Dr. Loomis, so like it's pretty minimal as far as me keeping track.
Yeah. Loomis on the street finds the car. Lori's out front. She walks over to the other house. And again, this is where I say the music really helps because there's so little going on. It's just her walking around and looking around and doing shit. It's just the music helps the tension and builds up everything, and it makes it like you're tense or you're anxious watching this kind of shit. And as opposed to like, all right, I don't care what she's doing.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just, for all you care, she's checking the mail. You don't care. But the music is really what sets that emotional tone for you to be like, oh, fuck, we need to be worried about her.
And that's when Lori finds Judith's headstone in what is presumably Linda's body with Bob and somebody else's corpse in there, too. There's like 3 corpses.
Yeah, there's the girl, I think.
Both girls and one
yeah.
of the guys, I think.
But
The guy that was just fucking the girl in that bed. But the girl that's in that bed is not the girl that was just fucking in that bed. That's the other girl.
Yes.
But then the girl that's was fucking in the bed is dead there soon, too.
Yes.
So
the one girl's kidnapped and tied to the bed, and the girl that was just fucking the guy in there, and he dies after going to get
she's
that.
only kidnapped?
She was still alive at that point in time, I think.
Oh.
When you see it, I think when you see that scene, I think she was still, because she was like roped down to the bed. It was like a very bondage scene. But you also see the headstone there, and you're like, oh, Judith Myers, that's where that's at. But I mean, that's right up Michael Myers' alley. But that one guy, I had a note. He fucking dies after getting that beer. After fucking and getting beer. I mean, I guess if you got to die, it's probably a good time to go. I prefer it to be right after I pulled the trigger. But I mean, I guess if you had a choice. And then
Imagine dying right before you blew it.
titty phone sex strangler. See anything you like? And she's showing Mike her titties when he walks in the room before she dies.
Yeah.
Like, that's just funny because it's like, she's teasing him like, flirtatious, fun relationship. They're all happy-go-lucky, and she has no idea she's about to get fucking murdered.
Yeah.
It's sad. Real sad. And then Loomis finds that car outside the house there.
Yeah.
That's when he realizes that and like really flips out there. He's like, "Oh fuck, we're getting to it."
I like the. It's very iconic. The whole Michael emerging very slowly in the shadow behind Laurie.
Yes, that's fucking amazing. That's so well done.
Like that's what I have. It's kind of what's on the cover there. Like, well, maybe not there. There is a cover that has like a sort of shadow like that. I have a little tattoo of his face like that on my arm. Let's see. Oh yeah. Michael emerges in the shadow then while she's crying and tries to stab her, kind of slices her, and then they end up rumbling through the kitchen or the living room for a minute.
Well, she falls over the railing, right? Laurie gets cut and falls over the railing, so she wants.
You're going back.
Oh, am I back behind that now?
I think so.
I thought that was before, because then after that,
maybe
she goes across the street.
Either way, they end up tumbling, is what I'm saying, through the living room, and then she goes outside.
Yeah, runs across.
The neighbors
the street.
ignore her next door. They just like literally like look out the window and like, what? That's crazy, bitch. Fuck this.
Yeah, she goes back and pounds on the door and gets Tommy to let her in with the
Tommy
little girl.
sucks ass. He's so slow and shit. I'd have fucking killed that kid myself when I got inside.
She stabs him with that fucking knitting needle though, which is pretty dope.
She should have stabbed Tommy with a knitting needle.
Well, I mean,
he falls over, and she thinks like, oh, I'm good now, and I just will stop paying attention.
I think the little girl's name is Lindsay, so Tommy and Lindsay go upstairs, because she shuffles them up there.
Yeah. Loomis tells the sheriff where he is. He's like, yeah, listen, the motherfucker's over there, and you gotta do something. And then she's hiding in the closet.
Yeah, and that's a fucking terrifying scene, too. That's a great scene. Because he starts breaking through, and you know how easy that would be to break that cheap slotted wood closet doors.
Oh, yeah.
But he fucking turns that light on, and that's what's real fucking terrifying, is because bright scenes of this crazy shit are more terrifying than dark, right?
Yes.
Seeing that shit come after you would be way scarier than just fucking dying in the dark. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
For sure. You'd be like, fuck this. I'm out.
And she basically tries to retroactively abort him with a coat hanger.
Yes, she does. The kids run out screaming, and then Loomis enters the house, right?
Yeah. And he briefly has his mask off for a second.
Yeah, and you see
too.
that his face is fucked up underneath that to some degree.
Yeah,
which I don't think they've ever.
That's another one of those things where it's like more of a like how Jason is sort of mentally. There's some sort of weird, out of date thing in horror where they used to do that a lot.
Yeah, well, to make him like look like deranged or whatever else, right?
It's not just deranged; they look like they have mental issues, and
well, they look like they have birth defects. Is essentially what they kind of try to show.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be nice about it without saying.
No, I'm
they're
not.
trying to say. They're just in horror movies. They try to do this too much sometimes, especially in the old days where there was a
Very
lot of
tropey. Yeah,
yeah.
They have a birth defect, and then that makes them a villain. So.
Yeah. I mean, people talk about like fucking Dr. Evil, as a
Yep.
parody of some of those type of characters. Blofeld,
Yep, and then Loomis shows up just in the fucking nick of time and shoots him down. Mm-hmm. But
He falls down off the
fucking
balcony
falls
onto the
out
ground.
of the window, and then he's fucking gone. Mm-hmm. Which is beautiful.
Bum, 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 bum. And depending on who you are, you'll either watch Halloween 2 or Halloween 2018. Or no, that's right.
Yeah. We chose to go to Halloween 2018.
Only because there's another, Halloween movie coming out this year. That's a sequel to that. So technically, that would be the third movie in the sequential order of that version.
This timeline, this branch.
Exactly.
And you got to thank Marvel for really educating the mainstream on multiverses and things like that. People are getting comfortable with it now. So, like,
But you got to also respect Godzilla for doing the timeline fuckery. And then even before that for... some of that, if you're talking about combining shit for the Marvel Universe, you got to talk about the OG Universal monsters.
yes.
Credit where credit's due, baby. Anyway, that's Halloween 1978. We have another episode coming out with our review of Halloween 2018, and shortly after next week, probably a review of Halloween Kills coming your way. So go see that. Go see it in a theater, please.
Yes. Support your theaters.
I don't think is it going anywhere online right away?
It's going on Peacock right away. Yeah, it'll be released on Peacock, but I think there'll be a rental fee associated with it.
Well, that's better than not, but still, go see it in a theater, please.
And if you have a
if you have a
local-
safe way to do it, if you feel safe doing it.
Yes, if you feel safe, and if you have a locally owned independent theater, go support them too. They need your business.
Yes.
And like and subscribe, and then click on over to the next video of Halloween 2018.
Yes, do it. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Frog Brothers Podcast. We'd greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. And if you're listening on the audio feed on Spotify or Apple or Twitch or wherever you listen, tell your friends and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/thefrogbros. Hit us up on Instagram at Frog Bros Podcast, on Twitter at bros_frog, on TikTok at Frog Bros Podcast, and follow us on Facebook. Join our Facebook group Frog Bros Video by searching just that, Frog Bros Video. Hit request to join and you'll be approved. We have shirts available. The link is in our Instagram bio and below in the description. And you can find stickers on Etsy at Frog Bros, all one word. Additionally, if you'd like to give us a call and leave a voicemail soon, our Patreon will be live and we'll be posting monthly responses and reactions to the voicemails. Dial 816-832-5388.